Well, welcome back to Astroline, presented by Carbach Brewing Company. Robert Ford, Jeff Blum, pleased to be joined by Astros reliever Joe Smith. And Joe, why don't you just catch us up on what you're doing right now? I mean, obviously spring training starts next month. It's right around the corner, which is hard to believe. But what are you doing right now to get ready for spring training in the season?
Right now we just got down to Florida 2 days ago. So, we were up in Ohio and it started getting a little too cold for me. And, with as much time as I had off and stuff, I was really looking forward to kind of getting down here, getting the warm weather and just, being able to move around. And then hopefully we'll see what happens. Hopefully the spring training facility is supposed to be opening up here in a week or two to be able to, get in there early and just kind of get back in the flow.
Yeah, what was you opted not to pitch this year with everything that was going on, and I know you had to deal with your mom's health issues, Lee, who passed away in August. If you just kind of go through what like led to your decision not to play last year and kind of the timetable for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of it was centered around my mom and her health. It got right about a week before we were getting ready to leave to go down to the spring training 2.0, or whatever you want to call it. I got a call that things just weren't going well. And, at that point I let everybody, who I knew, Mr. Crane or my agent, everybody, that like, hey man, I don't know what's going to happen. So, we ended up going down to Houston for like 4 or 5 days. And I mean, I said it before, I was there physically, but mentally, I was just everything back home with my mom. And just because I think the drawn out process that this had, been with her in this fight over Huntington's disease, it was really taking a toll. I mean, I just felt like I needed to be home. So when I was home, and then she ended up, for that month, and then she ended up passing in early August. And, I think if you ever had a loved one, especially somebody as close to you as a parent pass, it takes a minute, for the family, the grieving process, trying to help out where you can with just everything that involves with somebody passing. And I think by the time I was like truly almost ready to come back, it was about the beginning of September. And it was just, where I felt comfortable enough where I was like, okay, I think I can try to make this happen. But sitting down, looking at the time frame, what it would take, to get back, it just wasn't going to work out, man. It was just, I'm just 2020. I'm glad it's gone. So hopefully, I'm looking forward to this year and hopefully getting some normalcy back.
Yeah, good for you for opting out and taking the opportunity to be with your family. And that might be the blessing in disguise, is you did have the time to spend with your family, but also we kind of joked a little bit before we got on here about in baseball land, you might be a little bit older than some of the other guys. What benefits do you think you gained by taking the year 2020 off and getting ready for 2021?
That's a really good question. I don't know if I know the answer to that just yet. I know I feel good, man. I feel refreshed. I feel mentally refreshed. I think, over this past year, I think, everybody, not just the baseball players, but, had that mental weight of what's to come, what's going to happen, and, baseball, that 162, it's a grind. And I'm not going to lie, the past couple of years with this group we have in Houston have been so fun, going to the World Series, going to the ALCS, like winning. But with that, you have shortened off seasons, it's quick turnarounds, and you got to get your body ready to go. And it is a grind. And, having that last summer to sit back, kind of put everything in perspective, from the family side, from the baseball side. Heck, even my wife told me, she goes, okay, now I know how you're going to be in retirement. You can go play as long as you want. And I'm like, oh, that's great. I mean, I'm 36, going to be 37. So I'm finally glad I got that okay to go. I don't know how much longer it'll be, but no, I'm ready to get back, man. I'm ready to play baseball. I really missed it. I missed the guys. I missed how much fun we had over the past few years. And I'm excited about it again. And hopefully, I know it'll be a little bit different to what I'm used to. I know everybody went through it already this last year with the protocols and such. So I'm just hoping to get out there and have some fun.
Yeah, you had a chance to sit back like us and watch the Astros of 2020 go out there. And I think they kind of surprised all of us once they got into the postseason. Do me a favor, break down the 2020 season that you saw and what you anticipate in 2021.
Well, I was fired up, man. We had some young guys come up, especially like Christian Javier, Paredes. We had a heck of a lot of other guys step up too and fill in different spots. Brooks Raley come in and Blake Taylor. I know I'm talking about the pen a lot, but that's the most of the
those are your guys.
Yeah. But I was excited to see it. They got their opportunity, and I would say so many of them, like you said, exceeded the fact, like what we expected of them, right? And to see, I loved watching Paredes pitch, the energy that he takes out there on the mound. And I was also eager to see, there were a couple of times where he had that rough one, and I wanted to see if that same energy came back the next outing out. He didn't let it affect him. Like, he kept his time. It looked to me, I was far away, but it looked to me as he kept his confidence, he was just loving every minute of being out there. And I'm excited to sit with those guys, the new guys that I don't know, and the young guy Paredes, who I've only seen through like rehab assignments and stuff, like just that energy. It seems like they had a lot of fun. I mean, that group's always had fun, right? No matter what. So them watching them, especially in that postseason, I mean, we always talk about how it's not a light switch, but they flipped something on. It was like, hey, watch out. These boys they got into the playoffs like they wanted to, and the regular season looked to be a grind, and everybody kind of figuring out, and it really messed with their routines and stuff. But don't mind that sound. That's just my wife, interrupting my interviews. But but it was awesome to watch them play in the postseason, man. And that's when it hurt me the most, I think, not being there. Watching that grind and just being with them and seeing how much fun they were having, and coming one game away from another World Series appearance, man. What a tribute to that team. Missing certain guys like Urquidy and Yordan Alvarez and Verlander and Osuna, man. I mean, what a team. It was unbelievable. It makes me really excited for this year.
I mean, that was a great prelude, and we're hoping it doesn't happen soon, but a great prelude for your retirement if you do want to get into commentating. So that really was a test to see if you could do this for a living.
My wife does that.
That might have backfired on me.
Yeah.
What was your how closely were you paying attention to the 2020 Astros? Were you trying to keep up with every game? Were you texting guys regularly, talking to guys? How'd that go for you?
I tried to. I mean, yeah, I paid attention. I watched. If something happened where game time was something where we had to do, in terms of family stuff, I'd be watching the box scores or listening to you guys on the radio and just paying attention to the games and paying attention what guys were doing and stuff like that. But as far as the texting guys, I tried to stay out of it. I had a loose understanding of what the protocols were going to be, and you add that on top of the everyday grind and everything that was going on. I didn't want to, if somebody reached out to me, I would talk to them and goof around a little bit. We had some fun, and every once in a while I'd get a FaceTime, from actually quite a number of the guys. So that was always fun to just know that they were thinking about me, and you know what I mean? Because I really wanted to be there. But ultimately, I think I made the right decision, in real life. But I tried to just stay out of the way, man, and let them do their thing. They were in the moment, and no matter, some guys were grinding more than others. And it was just trying to be positive, maybe a text of encouragement to a couple of the guys, just, saying we're still watching, you're the man, keep going, stuff like that. But I try to stay out of it.
Your approach to how you handled being in contact with guys who were playing, was a part of that just kind of informed by having, being a player and knowing what like works for you and what doesn't work for you? Because, and I mean, Blummer probably knows more about this, because I have to imagine there are probably times when, certain people text you certain things during the season, and you might be thinking, man, this is the last thing I need right now.
Yeah, when it's like, oh, explain to me this, explain to me that. Like, I don't want to be, I don't need any explanations. Like, I mean, obviously, Michael Brantley and I have been together since 2009 in Cleveland, so we talk a lot. But if he wants to bring something up, or to me, or if I had a question, I'd probably call him. He's probably the guy I feel most comfortable calling in that clubhouse. But everybody else, man, whether it was, I don't know, Breggy or Tuve or whoever, Lance, just, send him a quick text. Like, it was great to see Lance McCullers back on the mound again, man, and competing. That dude, he's worked so hard to get back out there and, pitching for us in the ALCS with a blown out UCL a couple years ago and stuff. It's just like, or Tuve or Breggy that were kind of struggling for a little bit, just sending them texts, like knowing, just, give them good pay, throwing good vibes your way, keep going, keep grinding. You're still the best. And just little things like that. But, I didn't want to, like I said, you try to get into too much and it just becomes more of a burden than anything, I think, as a player trying to, because they got to communicate with enough people,
They do. And Joe, you've had a very long career, and off seasons usually involve a lot of getting ready for the next season. But now it's a little bit different too. You might be focusing a little bit on Hall of Fame votes because you've played against some of these contemporaries that are going into the big leagues now. And I know you've got a history with one of the guys that's kind of interesting and has Astros history is Billy Wagner. You were with him in what, 08, 09?
07, 08.
07, 08. So give me would you vote for Billy Wagner? And I need a good Billy Wagner story if you've got one.
I think Billy Wagner should be in. What an impressive individual, man. He broke his arm, it broke his right arm, started throwing left-handed. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like in high school. I believe it was when he was like 7. So, but I mean, still, that's impressive. But, Billy rode me really, really, really hard when I was
somehow
young.
That doesn't shock me.
Yeah, right. So, and I was like, all right. I mean, he was all over me. But on the same hand, if there was anything I had a question about, and especially when it related to pitching, learning how to pitch in the big leagues, he was always there to answer it, and he always had a good response. Whether it was, hey, you had a couple of days off, like, hey, why are you throwing like a 15 pitch bullpen, off the mound? Like, I don't really understand that. And then he would throw it in tennis shoes, which was more odd to me. And I'm like, what are you doing? What if you slip, and he was explaining to me basically the control and all, and he's like, you're slipping, you're going too fast. We're working on our tempo. We're working on nice and easy down the slope, sticking the landing, everything in sync. Okay. As much as things, everybody gets on you for walking a guy. And I swear, I can't remember which game it was. Billy literally walked somebody on like 4 straight pitches, not even close, just take it to first. And I think we had a 1 or 2 run lead. And I was like, hey, what happened there? And he goes, that guy sees me pretty well. I go, he goes, the guy on deck, he's like, I own him. So he's like, I'm just going to get rid of him and I'm going to fit. And I'm like, I mean, you throw a hunch from the left side with a wipeout slider, like, who owns you, But listen to him talk. He had the ability to foresee, not only pay attention to the guy you're facing in the box, but understand who's coming behind him, and talking to guys like him. And I mean, quite a notably other Aaron Seeley and guys like Tom Glavine and Pedro and El Duque, like getting the opportunity to come up as a young kid and being with these guys and understanding game management, or much less inning management, now I see a lot of young kids coming up in the league, and they have unbelievable stuff and they're punching everybody out, but it's a 7-run ball game and they're going 3-2 and throwing 3-2 bangers and everything's about strikeouts per 9. And it's like, hey man, that's great. I get it. You need your strikeouts per 9 up to get paid supposedly, but why don't we work on, game management and understanding how to control an inning, get out of there. Let's limit the damage. And then, when you still got to get 2 strikes on a guy before you punch him out. Like, let's figure this out. You know what I mean? So I mean, just having him there though as a voice of reason and somebody I grew up watching. I mean, I remember the Astros bullpen when it was Octavio Dotel, Brad Lidge, Billy Wagner, like. And I always said, it was funny. I was like, I always want, dude, Octavio Dotel. Like, I want to throw like that. That guy's unbelievable.
He had whip.
Yeah, I mean, I'm close, but he threw 100. Now I throw 86. So, you know, there's a bit of a difference.
Well, great stuff. Joe Smith, Astros reliever. Glad you took care of everything last year with your family, and really looking forward to seeing you pitch in the big leagues in 2021. Glad you're going to be back.
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you pitch, Joe. Thank you for the time, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
And welcome back to Astroline, presented by Carbach Brewing Company. Robert Ford joined, along with Jeff Blum, by Carlos Correa, Astros shortstop. First of all, Carlos, how's your offseason been? I mean, 2020 wasn't very typical for anybody, whether you're in baseball or not. But what's your offseason been like, and what are you up to these days?
The offseason has been great to me. You know, with COVID and everything, I've just been home and going to the gym to work out. Just getting ready for the season. I haven't done much. I haven't traveled or anything. I've stayed here in Houston the whole time. And just, you know, with the family here and the dogs.
How tough has it been for you? You know, you mentioned you've been in Houston the whole time, and obviously, you know, from Puerto Rico. I know typically you spend quite a bit of time down there and go back and forth between Puerto Rico and Houston. How tough has it been for you not to be able to do that like in years past?
Yeah, it's been really tough because I always love to go back to my hometown and be able to spend time with the rest of my family over there. Right now, my grandpa's sick, so I haven't been able to see him because, you know, that will take quarantining before when I get there, and then quarantining on the way back. And I don't want to just go out there and expose him to whatever, you know, I might bring from the plane or whatever I'm at. So I've been just staying here in Houston, man, and I've been FaceTiming them all the time and talking to them. So it's obviously tough. Not to see them and be able to spend time with them and hug them and, you know, tell them you love them in person.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Hopefully you do get the time to see family and friends, and we get to go out there and actually see fans in the stands. And I want to go back to 2020 and just ask you, because I've had a chance to talk to Alex Bregman, even Jake Marisnick, and some of the other guys, and they really said that not having fans in the stadium created a little bit of an issue, and you guys missed that. Talk about what it's like being in a stadium, playing a game for real, and not having those fans out there.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that this year. I hope we can get fans in there because, you know, the energy they bring, it's contagious. And you go out there and you perform, and you want to hit a home run and hear the loud noise from the crowd, or when they get quiet on the road. You know, we miss all that, and we miss that adrenaline that you get when the fans are in there. It almost felt like every game until the playoffs, it was like a spring training game. And then when we got to the playoffs, then, you know, it's do or die. You go home if you lose. So, you know, it was time to turn it up a little more. But during the regular season, it was tough to stay focused out there with the quiet crowd.
Yeah, I want to talk to you a little bit too about what you just brought up about the playoffs, because during the regular season, you guys it looked like you were fighting your way to get into the playoffs, and eventually you get in, and then you guys flipped that switch, completely turned things around, and became the Houston Astros that we all know and love. What exactly happened in the postseason for you guys?
Well, you know, I think the experience kicked in, and the fact that, you know, we've been to the ALCS 3 years in a row prior to this year. I think that helped us, and once we got to the playoffs, we knew what it takes to win games in the playoffs. And we got to Minnesota. We had a little meeting, and it was time to go. And we all got on the same page. We went out there and we went to battle, and we were able to be successful. You know, we wish we would have made it to the World Series and eventually won. But I'm really proud of what we accomplished. A lot of people had us, you know, losing in the first round, and we got all the way to Game 7 against the Rays, even though we were down 0-3. I mean, it was insane. It was a great season. And, you know, I tell this to a lot of people, and I had more fun with this team, like playing the way we played this offseason, like when you go out there on the field and just have fun, than we did in 2017 when we won the World Series. That was so much fun, and we had the fans there. But the fact that we have so many rookies in this team, the fact that we barely made the playoffs, and we were able to just flip that switch and go out there and compete against all odds, I mean, that was different.
Was it also, Carlos, the fact that you guys, because of all the protocols and everything, basically you guys just had each other. Like on the road, you weren't really supposed to be out doing things. So do you think that added to the closeness as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When we were at the hotel, we're not even allowed to be in each other's rooms. So we'll show up to the ballpark early and spend even extra time together. And that brought us together, especially during the playoffs. We were at the ballpark so early, ready to work, ready to go out there to the cage and feel sexy, like I always say, in order to go to the game and have it translate in the game and be able to perform for your team.
So, Carlos, last 2 years in the ALCS, you have hit walk-off homers. You hit one Game 2 in 2019 against the Yankees in extra innings, and of course, Game 5, 2020 against Tampa Bay in the bottom of the ninth inning. I mean, I'd have to imagine. Can you just kind of compare those two? Because we were talking about the lack of fans and everything, and I remember how bonkers Minute Maid Park was after you homered to win Game 2 in 2019. What do you kind of remember, and can you compare those two moments? And just, I mean, they were similar in some ways, but different in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. They're very similar, but completely different. I mean, having the fans at Minute Maid for Game 2 against the Yankees, that was crazy, and that was such a special moment because I had one of my kids that we work in the foundation, and I promised him a home run. And when I hit that one, that was such a special homer because of both reasons, because I promised him and because it tied the series 1-1. And then against Tampa, man, coming back from that deficit, we were not out. We had a meeting. We said, hey, we're down 3 games. We got to keep battling. We know we have the team to win. We have some bad luck in the first couple of games. Let's go out there. And we went out there, man, and that homer was special, be able to get that series 3-2. But, man, I missed the fans on that one. It would have been really loud. It would have been a Minute Maid, Game 5 at Minute Maid. That would have been if it was a normal season. So I can only imagine how crazy it would have been.
Yeah, that would have been a lot of fun, and it would have been crazy. And I think what you kind of created too in your time with Houston is actually some leadership. But in the past, we've seen it more as, on the field with your actions and how you play. But we're a year removed from all the drama that happened last January, and we saw a side of Carlos Correa that really not many of us have seen. Can you kind of take us back there and tell us where your mindset was at and what created this monster that we even enjoyed even more watching come out and being vocal in trying to help out your teammates?
I just care about my people. I love my teammates. I love our organization. I love the Houston Astros, and I will do whatever it takes to represent my team, my organization, my family the right way. And there were a couple of things that didn't sit well with me, and I had to be vocal about it. And I could just sit on the sidelines and stay quiet. So I had to defend my teammates. I had to defend a lot of us out there. And when I decided to speak, it was because Altuve is one of my best friends in the world, and I love that guy to death. And I knew he would not say anything. So I had to say something about him because the MVP he won, I felt it was legit. And he's the most honorable man you can ever meet. So I had to be vocal about it, man. I had to defend my teammate because I knew, nobody was doing it.
Yeah, and I think I speak for most Astro fans in saying that we do appreciate the fact that you did step up and say that, and it just added another layer to what you're doing as an Astro. Give us an idea of what you're focusing on this offseason heading into the 2021 season, because it's going to be a little bit different. Knowing that you're going to play 162 games, how are you getting ready, and what do you plan on doing in 2021? Sorry.
Yeah, so I've been working a lot on pretty much the same stuff I worked for 2020. Getting my body in the right shape for me to go out there and play every single game. Last year I was the Astro that played the most games. I was healthy. The whole year I was feeling great. So I want to do this. I want to do that the same, but with 162 games. It was 60 games, so I want to be able to show that I can now go 162 games. I'm perfectly healthy. I'm ready to go. And with my swing, what I found in the playoffs, I want that to translate to this season. I know the feeling. I know what I was doing. So I've been working on it. I've been feeling really good. So I'm looking forward to a big start. I usually start really slow. So I'm looking forward to a big start this year because I feel like I found my stroke and I feel like I'm going to have the best season of my career this year.
You mentioned your swing, and if I remember correctly, that last series of the regular season in Arlington with hitting coach Alex Centrone, you were able to unlock something. If I remember correctly, it involved looking back at video of your swing when you first got to the big leagues. If you could just kind of take us back through that and explain, what do you feel like is different for you for in the playoffs compared to the regular season in that regard?
So in the regular season, I was having a little trouble finding that rhythm, that feel that you get during batting practice that can translate to the game perfectly. And then in that series against Arlington, we're looking back at videos from 2015 when I broke into the league, and we found some things that I wasn't doing anymore, and we started working on it. I had a day off. In that series against Arlington, I hit all day with Centrone, and I was able to find it. It was feeling good. It was feeling natural. Then I won the next game, and I hit a home run, and I was like, whoa, like I can really feel it in the game now. And then I went to Minnesota. I kept working on it on the day off, then worked on it before the game. Felt really good. I think I had 2 or 3 walks that game, and then the next game I hit a homer, and at that point I knew that was it right there. That was the feeling. That was routine that worked for me. And from then I carried that on throughout the whole playoffs. And, against Oakland, it was great. Against Tampa, who has one of the best pitching staff in the game, it was great. So, I want to be able to carry that into next year and have a strong start.
Yeah, talking about next year, this 2021 season, obviously it's your last year before you can become a free agent. You're going through arbitration right now, which I know can be a really difficult process for any player. Does it help you a little bit that you went through this arbitration before and you had that hearing in 2019? Does that help you in terms of just thinking about how things are going to go going into the 2021 season for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It helps. But the most important thing is to understand that this is a business and you got to leave your feelings out of it. You got to understand that, teams are going to try to build the best team possible and try to spend the less amount of money. That's what business means. You want to be able to profit and still have a solid team. So I understand that. So I leave feelings outside of it. I know arbitration is a process that happens to a lot of people. And, I love this organization. I love the Astros. I would love to be an Astro for life. So hopefully they're on the same side as I am. You know what I mean? If they're on the same side, I would love to be an Astro for the rest of my life. This is where I got drafted. This is where I played. This is where I've developed as a player. This is where I've grown as a man. And nothing will make me happier than to represent this organization and be a franchise player. But all those feelings I set them aside. I know they care about me. I know they want me in this organization. But at the end of the day, you gotta negotiate and gotta do what's right for you, and they gotta do what they think is right for them. But at the end of the day, I hope we can both get on the same page and keep moving forward.
No, you're exactly right. And, fans do need to understand that earning window for ball players is really small. So you got to maximize, especially when you got a talent like yours, Carlos. Last season had all kinds of issues. We had spring training, and then we had summer camp 2.0 or whatever they called it. Can you talk a little bit to the fans and let them know how important a full spring training would mean to you guys this season?
Oh, yeah. Full spring training will mean that we'll get the right preparation. This summer camp that we had, we put in good work, but at the same time, we're not facing other teams. We're not facing enough pitching. It was too quick of a turnaround. That's why you saw so many injuries on the pitchers and stuff. So getting a full spring training will be great, especially for the pitchers, but also for us hitters. We get to get our timing down and we get to go out there the first game of the regular season and feel good about it.
All right. I got to ask you something. This offseason, I had a chance to listen to a couple of your podcasts, The Walkout with Carlos Correa and Lance McCullers Jr. I know this probably spawned from clubhouse conversations, but tell us a little bit about why the podcast started and what you enjoy most about being in that podcast world.
The podcast started because Lance and I, ever since we got drafted in 2012, we've been watching fights together. I mean, we're fight fans. I grew up watching fights since I was 5 years old. I've been watching every Saturday. I watch every fight with my dad. So I'm a huge fan of the sport, and so is he. So we figured during the quarantine, we said, oh, like, we got nothing to do right now. We're working out and going home. It's kind of boring. We watch every single show. Let's start a podcast and talk about, MMA. And, that's how the idea came up. We bought the equipment and we started doing the podcast. A lot of people started to love it. And right now we signed a deal with SiriusXM. So now our podcast is on SiriusXM. So we're very happy about that. The UFC has acknowledged our podcast. Dana White has seen it. All the guys up there have seen it. We had great hosts. We had champions on the podcast. So it's been awesome, man. We've enjoyed every single second of it. And we're not doing it because of money. We're doing it because we're passionate about it, just like you guys are as passionate about baseball. We're as passionate about MMA and the fight game. So we just enjoy doing it. Actually, today I gotta go record with him for the Conor McGregor fight.
Big one coming up.
Hyped about that. So we will have a new episode coming out soon.
Before we let you go, Carlos, who do you have a favorite fighter now, and who was your favorite fighter to watch growing up?
Ooh, so I'll go with growing up. My favorite fighter to watch when I was 5, the guy that got me into boxing was Felix Tito Trinidad.
Oh yeah,
champion
great fighter
from Puerto Rico. Yeah, the whole little town that I lived in will get together to watch his fights, and that's how my passion grew. And then Pretty Boy Floyd, not Money May. Pretty Boy Floyd came in fighting Corrales in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I fell in love with his style. And now I like Habib. I like Conor, obviously. I like all these guys, Israel Adesanya, Kamaru Usman. There's a lot of guys out there in the UFC that have so much potential to be the greatest of all times. And in boxing, Canelo's my guy right now. I love the way he goes about his business.
That's awesome. Well, Carlos Correa, thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you. I mean, we didn't really get to see anybody last year, but hopefully we'll get to see you and all your teammates in 2021 in person. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Really appreciate it, Carlos. Thanks, man.